You wake up, you get on with the day, you do what needs done. From the outside, everything looks fine. You're not failing, you're not falling apart, you're not in crisis. And yet, there's a quiet tension sitting underneath everything. A low level unease you can't quite switch off. It's not panic, it's not fear, it's the feeling that no matter how much effort you put in, nothing really moves forward. You're busy, but not building, tired, without knowing why. You look back 5 years and realize you were working just as hard back then. Same routines, same pressures, same sense of waiting for something to click. And the unsettling part isn't struggle, it's stagnation. Because you did what you were supposed to do. You kept going, you stayed responsible, you didn't give up. So why does it still feel like you're standing still? If that question feels familiar, this video is for you. You don't notice it at first. Nothing dramatic changes, nothing collapses, life just tightens. Responsibilities stack quietly, expectations settle in, the margins get thinner. You adjust, because you always do. You become more efficient, more careful, more measured. You learn how to carry things without dropping them. But what no one tells you is that adapting has a cost. The effort increases, the reward doesn't. So the pressure moves inward. You start doing more with less space, more thinking, more planning, more restraint. Not because you're ambitious, but because standing still now requires effort. The strange part is how normal it feels. Bills get paid, schedules stay full. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. But inside, everything feels tighter, like you're holding your breath without realizing it. You don't feel crushed, you feel contained. And containment is exhausting. Because when progress slows and effort keeps rising, your mind has to make sense of the gap. So you internalize it. You assume the pressure means you should try harder, be sharper, be more disciplined. You don't question the weight, you absorb it. And slowly, without announcement, your inner world reshapes itself around what the system demands. Not because you chose it, but because you had to. At some point, you start to notice something. It isn't explained to you, you don't read it in a headline, you just feel it repeating. You put more in, you stay disciplined, you do what makes sense. And somehow, the outcome barely shifts. Life doesn't fall apart, it just doesn't open up. Progress starts to feel theoretical. Things improve on paper, but day to day still feels heavy. You realize you're working harder just to hold the same position. Standing still now takes effort. That's when the questions begin, quiet ones. You don't say them out loud. You don't even fully finish the thought, you just feel it sitting there. Is this really how it's meant to feel? Because when effort stops leading somewhere clear, your mind looks for reasons. You replay decisions, you go back over your choices, you assume you must have missed something, you don't blame the system yet, you turn it inward. Maybe you waited too long, maybe you should have been sharper, more focused, more disciplined. But the pattern keeps repeating. The rules you're following were written for a different version of the world, a time when patience paid off, when effort stacked, when progress was easier to recognize. Now effort is used just to stay steady, and staying steady doesn't feel like moving forward. So a gap opens up between how much you give and how little seems to change. That gap isn't a failure, it's information. And when effort and reward drift apart, the pressure doesn't disappear, it settles inside you. Once you see the gap, it changes how everything feels. Not because you suddenly understand the world, but because you stop assuming the weight is personal. You start noticing how many people are carrying the same pressure, different lives, different paths, same tension underneath it all. That's when another thought starts to form. Maybe the problem isn't effort. Maybe the rules shifted, quietly, no announcement, no warning, no moment you could point to and say, that's when it changed. The expectation stayed the same, work hard, be patient, do the sensible thing, but the outcomes stopped matching the effort. Costs rose, margins shrank, stability became something you had to defend, so you adapted, not because you wanted more, but because standing still started requiring movement. This isn't about failure, it's about living inside a system that asks more over time without offering more space in return. And when that happens, your mind does what it always does. It tries to adjust, it learns to operate under pressure, to stay alert, to plan further ahead. You don't feel dramatic about it, you just feel switched on all the time. That constant readiness becomes normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy, and it doesn't mean permanent. It just means you adapted to the conditions you were given. And once you realize that, something important shifts. The question stops being, "What's wrong with me?" and becomes something quieter. "Why do I feel like this?" Awareness doesn't change your situation overnight. It doesn't make things easier, and it doesn't magically give you answers. What it gives you is something quieter: context. When you understand that the pressure didn't come from nowhere, you stop carrying it as a personal failure. You realize you weren't weak for feeling it. You were responding to conditions, and that matters, because when everything feels heavy, your mind naturally turns inward. It assumes the problem must be you. Awareness interrupts that loop. It creates a little space between what you feel and what you believe about yourself. You don't suddenly feel lighter, but you feel less confused. You stop fighting an invisible enemy. You stop asking yourself why you can't just push through what was never meant to be carried alone. Instead, you start noticing something else. That feeling you've been living with isn't random. It's a signal, not telling you to panic, not telling you to quit, just telling you that something important changed and your inner world adapted to survive it. That understanding doesn't solve the pressure, but it changes your relationship to it. And that's where things actually begin. Because once you can name the feeling, you can stop being owned by it. And for the first time in a long while, you're no longer asking what's wrong with you, you're asking better questions.